Well, hip hip hooray, Celtic are back. We won a game, our first win of 2021. We returned after 7 days away. We didn't go to Dubai this time, we just had some time off at Lennoxtown. It was the first win of 2021, the first time in 3 games we've been playing a team that hasn't been called Livingston. We had goals from Odsonne Edouard, goals from Lee Griffiths, 3 points, David. But that only tells part of the story because that was a pretty excruciating watch at times.
Yeah, he did well there to make it sound like an exciting night.
That's my
Um,
job.
it was a win. Something we've not seen, or feels like we've not seen for a while. Must be Dundee United, our last one. Am I right in saying that? 3-0, yeah. It was a win, but my goodness, you're right. It was turgid to watch. I thought the first half was actually alright. Bit of an improvement in what we've seen recently. Thought football was much quicker. Thought we had a full back down the left that could actually cross the ball for a change. Thought Greg Taylor played very well actually. Outside of that, I know the guys on Celtic TV thought there were a number of standouts. I didn't see them. I thought it was a nice easy game, Hamish. I said to you before it, I thought we'd win tonight. I think Hamilton at home should always be routine if we're not going to be respectful towards them. I think it's a game you should win comfortably. I thought Hamilton still had their moments. A couple more moments than I would have liked to see as a Celtic fan. Thought they won some free kicks very cheaply in their defensive third. One or two led to some dodgy moments, I think, for Scott Bain. But listen, it's a win. It's a season that's just going to peter out a bit, I think, unless the Scottish Cup can be played. So, yeah, it's a win. We'll take it, but it has no more than a friendly feel for me tonight.
Yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly, mate. I just feel like we're in a real vacuum at the moment with Celtic. I know it's my job to, and your job as well, to watch these games and to comment and raise talking points that viewers can relate to and can contribute and react to. But for me, I'm just a bit meh after that. I just thought it was a victory. It was relatively plain sailing. Hamilton did have a few half chances, but I don't think it was anything more than that. Really, we didn't create a great deal. We could probably have scored a couple more in another night, but we were up against, for me, the poorest team in the Premiership, a
I
team who
agree with
I
that.
don't think will be a Premiership team next year. Not only the poorest team in the Premiership this season, I think Hamilton are probably the poorest team that's played in the Premiership for a good few years. I just think they're a really poor team. But we're not here to bash Hamilton. Goals from those amazing front two, Lee Griffiths and Odsonne Edouard. The first time those two have scored in the same game since the last time we played Hamilton on Boxing Day. Interesting stat that I worked out myself. So this is an exclusive Hamish stat. 63% of Odsonne Edouard's league goals this season have come against Hamilton. How about that?
Well, that's what you're wanting, the goals against the big teams, aren't you? It doesn't surprise me. I think I've seen another stat before tonight saying that, only a couple of his goals haven't been penalties in the league this season. That wouldn't surprise me either. I don't believe that we've seen the best out of Lee Griffiths or Odsonne Edouard this season by any stretch of the imagination. A couple of goals tonight doesn't really change a thing. They had to be doing it consistently this season. Listen, tonight was what it was. It was a
Yeah.
game where, we were never going to come out of it feeling grand regardless of the result. It could have been 5-0 tonight, mate, and would still have been ruined so much that's happened this season. Celtic will try and use the win to justify keeping Lennon in the job for another week, which
Well,
they would have done anyway.
Well,
So,
what I wanted to ask you, David, is you say another week. Is there a chance here that off the back of, and as daft as this sounds, off the back of beating Hamilton 2-0, that Celtic come out tomorrow or Friday and use it as a justification to keep Lennon for the rest of the season?
surely no. I mean, you can't predict that far into the future for me. I think Celtic tried this with the January review. When things were going bad, they thought, here's a nice wee run of games going up to the Rangers game that we think we can win. We did win a few of them, and they thought they could throw this January review out there as a chance to give Lennon this opportunity to build some momentum, get the cup under his belt. And now we're sitting here well into January, fuming with the results after that. So I don't think you can guarantee Lynn the job to the end of the season. I don't see any justification for it at all. I don't think you can give him any more in the next game. Look, they're not going to sack him after victories. It's just the way it's going to be. So I expect him to fully be in charge against St Mirren on Saturday. But, if he loses to St Mirren, we're back here asking the same questions, we're back here making the same points if he's got to go. But I suppose it's not calls we're going to be so vociferous in tonight. It was a win, and we move on to the next game. The team have made this season such an absolute chore now, and we as the fans are having to suffer that.
That's it right there, mate. It's a chore. It's a chore for me watching Celtic at the moment. Right, we could probably chat and depress everyone for the next 10 minutes. I'm going to bring in some comments from the wonderful viewers of 67 Hail Hail. If you're watching this and you want to, get involved with a question, a thought from the game, please do that. Celtic FC has been doing that. I don't know if that's the official Celtic account on the various social medias. If it is, please stop tweeting happy birthdays and focus on other things. This one comes in, says Lennon consistently says Griff isn't match fit, and which is why we sub him. We're midway through. Why are we always bringing him off in Turnbull 2 for that matter? I think that's a very good point. For me, the fact that we are nearly in February and Lee Griffiths still isn't match fit is pretty worrying. But he scored a good goal tonight, Griffiths, and really good finish. Plixie Plox has got in touch, £2 as well in the old whatever you call it, super chat. I'm sick of Duffy. Welsh can't possibly be worse. I think he's hinting there that Welsh should be starting more games. I wanted to ask you about that, David. Just going to the starting lineup that played tonight, there was 2 changes from the game at Livingston last week that went so well. We had Scott Bain came in for Barkas. Scott Bain's first appearance for Celtic since that 4-1 humbling away to Sparta Prague when many people thought his Celtic career was over. Yet you fast forward 9 weeks and Scott Bain's back starting for Celtic. What do you make of that whole trio of goalkeepers and the uncertainty there?
I think the vast majority of fans don't believe we have, a reliable goalkeeper between the three. I don't understand the decision tonight. Listen, again, it maybe seems, that making that lose-lose for Lennon. He starts Barkas, he gets criticised for starting as being a poor goalkeeper. He drops Barkas, his questions as to why he's dropping his £4.5 million man. For me, I thought he'd stick with him. I thought it was probably the right decision to stick with him tonight because we have Hamilton, we have St Mirren. If you're going to give this guy a chance to get some confidence, it's got to be some of these home matches against teams you would consider of lesser quality in the Premiership. Lennon said before the Rangers game, right, I need to bring Barkas back in. I want experience. He's my goalkeeper. He's my man. 2 games later, because he didn't play against Hibs or the first game against Livingston, 2 games later he's dropping him. And he's saying, well, his performances haven't been good enough. Now, personally, Hamish, and I don't rate Barkas so far this season. I think there's been a lot of excuses made up for him. I haven't seen anything out of the last 2 games, if you're to isolate those 2 matches, that make me think, God, that's it, that's the last straw, he needs dropped. So it makes me wonder what Lennon's seen now that makes him think it's time to drop Barkas and why he isn't turning to Connor Hazard and is instead turning to Scott Bain. I don't think Scott Bain has proven that he's a better goalkeeper than Connor Hazard from what I've seen out of the 2 of them.
That's what I wanted to say. How if you were asking right now to rank the 3 Celtic goalkeepers in terms of Neil Lennon's preference, you would be hard stuck to say who's number 1, who's 2 and who's 3. The thing I wanted to ask you about Barkas, playing devil's advocate here for a minute, because I like to do that from time to time. Could the problem with Barkas be in the last couple of games that he just hasn't made any saves? He hasn't done anything to make himself the Celtic number 1? Or do you go the opposite school and say, he hasn't really done anything to lose the number 1 jersey?
I thought he'd done plenty of losing on 1 jersey between around August to October time. But in terms of the last couple of games, it just feels harsh to me when you look back to the derby against Rangers. I know he gets some criticism for that. I didn't understand that. I don't think he should have saved the one against Rangers. I don't think he was at fault for any of the 2 against Livingston, personally. All right, he could have pulled a wonder save. It would have been great to see it. But he didn't. I don't think he should be criticised for not doing that with any of those 3 goals conceded. But for me, I would have went with Hazard. I just think he has more about him in terms of the long time. He's a very young guy, Hazard. He's not only 22 or something. He has so much development in him, and I think the signs have actually been pretty promising, contrary to maybe what a lot of fans believe. I mean, Bain's been given this restart again tonight. They've hit the refresh button in Bain, but we all know the first decent shot that goes into Bain's going to fly into the net. Let's not kid ourselves any further. So for me, I would go with the youngster. I would play, but we're talking about playing the youngsters. So many supporters want to see Stephen Welsh. They want to see Scott Robertson. I want to see Hazard in that as well. And I'd like him to get a run of games if we're going to drop Barkas. I see no reason as to why Bain should be getting the place back, Hamish.
Scott Bain wasn't the answer a year ago, and that's why we went out and signed Fraser Forster. So I really do not understand, what makes Scott Bain the answer now. Neil Lennon's comments, and you may have missed this, viewer, when the game was going on earlier, but Neil Lennon did say that he wanted to bring Scott Bain in because Barkas, I'm paraphrasing here, but Barkas hasn't quite adapted to the physicality of the Scottish game, and also Bain is a more experienced option who, I think Lennon's quoted as saying, hasn't done a great deal wrong, which I thought was a kind of, strange comment to make. Prime Pants getting in touch, love that name. If you give Barkas time, he will come good. He was playing at a good level with AAK. Listen, I'm of that opinion as well. I think Barkas will come good, but I'm also of the opinion now, how long can we afford to wait for this guy to actually make a save? Because I don't know about you, David, but I am actually yet in 6 or 7 months since this guy signed for us, I'm yet to see him make a save. But anyway, sorry, Barkas wasn't playing tonight, so we should probably focus on the guys that were. Just one other thing I want to get off my chest. I don't want to go after the guy again because he's probably been criticised more than any other Celtic player, and you already know who I'm talking about, but I cannot believe that Shane Duffy is still starting for Celtic. He is not the future of this Celtic team. He will not be here in a few months. I do not understand why Neil Lennon is still playing Shane Duffy when you've got a guy like Stephen Welsh on the bench, when you've got a guy like Scott Robertson, a midfielder, on the bench who can't, get near that team, can't even get minutes after we recalled him from Gillingham. It just seems like there's so many, so many strange decisions being made at Celtic. Right, positives, because I realise that, people might be turning off. We've been non-stop negative, but it is difficult to be positive. I thought Soro was really good tonight.
Yeah, and we're one game closer at the end of the season. So that's probably the biggest positive. No, listen, Soro was good. He's always good. I really like what he brings to the table. So combative, so tidy on the ball as well. I've only seen him make maybe a couple of loose passes over the course of 5 or 6 games, or however many it is now he's been in. Well, maybe 7 or 8 now, I'm not sure. He's been really impressive. Turnbull was decent again tonight, always involved in anything we're doing going forward.
Should have had a goal.
Should have had a goal, yeah. There was a couple who should have had a goal, particularly in the first half, I felt. I'm trying to think some of the rest of the starters. Thought McGregor was good. Good energy in the midfield. I think he combined with Taylor quite well in the first half. I thought the second half it all kind of slowed down too much. I thought the game's been broken up every 5 minutes for whatever reason. There was players down injured because of a substitution. It just felt like it was constantly breaking up, like a friendly almost.
Yeah.
So I thought the first half was mainly where the positives were. I suppose, I'm trying to think if Hamilton had any clear-cut chances. I suppose if they didn't, then that's probably a positive, but you don't expect conceding chances to Hamilton. I think.
What did you make of Edward, David? Because for me, I know he got his goal. And again, I don't want pillory the guy, but I just feel like his heart isn't really in it at the moment. I feel like he's going through the motions. I'm not going to say the guy isn't trying because he took his goal well, but I just feel like he's really playing within himself at the moment. And my question to you would be, should Odsonne Edouard keep starting for us?
I'd like to see more Albion Ajeti, to be honest. I know he's not played too well, but we have players now who are going to be here next season, who are contracted to be here next season, maybe just arrived recently. Lennon spoke before this game about, players who want to leave. It's not just Frimpong, there are others. We won't speculate as to who that is, but I'm sure we could guess 1 or 2 of them. And I do feel that perhaps one of them could be a certain striker. So for me, I would like to see more of the players who are going to be here next season, who will be in. Hopefully a new manager's thoughts in pre-season. Albion Ajeti for me is going to be there. Klimala, I'd like to see more of, but not as much as I'd like to see Ajeti. I was pleased to see Ajeti get 20 so minutes tonight, but he needs more.
100%, he needs more. He's another one who, we're going into February and he's not fit, but he just looked so rusty when he came on.
Yeah, not scored since September either. I don't think so. I think in that sense, I'd like to see more of him. I think Chris Ayer. Chris Ayer's a funny one for me though, because I think if you want to keep getting good results, I think you do have to keep Chris Ayer in the team more than you do Odsonne Edouard. So I know Ayer, there's a good chance Ayer could be away in the summer into the final 12 months of his contract, last chance to get a decent fee. But I don't know. I think if you take him out of the team, you lose a lot.
100%.
A lot.
He doesn't look like he's a player who's looking for a move. Now, I have no doubt Christopher Ayer will be leaving in the summer and would probably given the opportunity to leave this month. But the difference between him and Edouard and Christie is that Ayer looks as if he still wears his heart on his sleeve. He's still
absolutely
chasing after balls. I actually think Christopher Ayer has been one of the positives for us this season. I think Soro's been a big plus point. I think David Turnbull has been as well.
Just like I was saying, Ryan, you can't fake the emotion he shows at times. You see him when goals go in, or whenever a cross he puts in across the face a goal doesn't work out. He's going nuts. He's slamming the ground. He's furious. He's all in with this season. He would put 100% into this year. I think he's been let down by a lot of people. Higher. I've no problem with his commitment. I know a lot of people do. I don't really know personally where that comes from. I think it's maybe just a byproduct of being part of such a poor side this year. But for me, Chris Ayer, God, if we could keep that guy for the next 5-6 years, I'd be doing it 100%.
I totally agree.
He's an incredible footballer with, I think, a superb mentality.
I totally agree. I think there's a lot he has to improve on in terms of his actual, gameplay, and the fact that he dives in a lot and his position can be suspect. But in terms of his commitment this season, he's one of the few ones that you can't really criticise. The elephant in the room, and we kind of touched on it at the start of the video, is Neil Lennon. I feel like we've been chatting about this for years now, but how do you think it's going to play out over the next week? Because, Celtic did promise, as much as Celtic have lied about things, they promised this, January review. January only has, I think, 3 days to run. After today, we kind of have to see something. I personally think we will see something. My own opinion is that the club will come out and back Neil Lennon after tonight's game and will give him the rest of the season. What do you think for the next few days? What are we going to see from the club, if anything?
So tough to predict. I can't see them sacking the guy, not after tonight. As if tonight was some sort of heroic display. But I can't see it. I think they'll use the win to sort of protect themselves from doing it. I don't know why they have this, blind faith towards Neil Lennon. I don't get where this sense of loyalty from the board towards Neil Lennon comes from. John McGinley wrote a great piece on the website during the week about how Chelsea, showing how painless it was to sack a legend in Frank Lampard, why we can't bring ourselves to do it with Lennon, to me suggests a pals act. So I think that I'm inclined to go what you're saying in the sense of they'll use it to give him some more time. I'm not necessarily certain that they'll come out and say end of the season. I think they might be a bit vaguer than that. I think they might just say that he's keeping
February
the job.
review.
But could you imagine? God, the Celtic SLO would have a hard time with that, wouldn't they? I think they'll try and say that he'll be in place for the short term, or for the next few weeks, the next couple of months, even, to see how it pans out. I can't see them sacking him after a win. But I don't want to believe that they're going to say the end of the season. Let's ride this season out as if he deserves it. But nothing would surprise me with Celtic, Hamish. It wouldn't surprise me if the statement said, just a lot of you shut up, we'll do what we want. Because that's the way it's kind of...
that earlier on in the season and not as many words. Right, Prime Pants, we're going to get to that question in 1 wee second just to finish the stream. 2 wee bits of housekeeping to do before that. Plixiplox has drawn my attention, or reminded me, of the 67 Hail Hail forum. I think it's forum.67hailhail.com. I mentioned it in a previous video that I did, but you can, it does what it says in the tin. You can discuss Celtic with like-minded Celtic fans by going on forum.67hailhail.com. It's just in its infancy, but it's growing steadily. David's on there, I'm even on there, the other 67 Hail Hail writers, and lots of Celtic fans, like we are as well, are on there. And my other bit of housekeeping, we're in 9,978 subscribers. Now, if my maths is correct, and I did fail higher maths 2 years in a row, but I think we're 22 away from the big 10k. Now, I may be clutching at straws here or imagining something major happening in this world, but there's about 250 watching this video right now. If we got 10th of you to subscribe, and again I'm doubting my maths, but if we get a 10th of you to subscribe to the channel right now, we could maybe get to 10k by the end of this video. So give it a go. I'll keep refreshing it. Well, we've gone up to 79, so we've got 21 to go. In the meantime, David, I'll ask you about that question. We just got in there from Prime Pants. Who do we think the next manager will be?
Oh God. No, I mean, it's just so much speculation, isn't it? It's more a case of who do you want for me more than who you think it will be. It could be absolutely anyone. I saw a great point put forward the other day saying no manager worth his salt will come to the club unless he's the one deciding who's getting signed. And that's an absolutely great point. For me, I'd love to see this club just stripped apart. I'd really love to see the way it operates change from the boardroom down. I don't think that... I don't think it'll be another cheap option. I'm going to try and be positive about this. I think it's going to be a manager who could maybe totally revolutionise the club in the way Brendan Rodgers did. So for me...
I'm going to have to push you for a name.
I know you are, I'm going to go for Eddie Howe. I think we'll push the boat out for Howe. And I think we'll try and give him a lot of autonomy in the first team squad. That's who I think they'll go for, to try and be progressive, to try and connect with the supporters. Don't think Benitez would be attainable. No. Try to think some of the other names that are out there. I think Petrescu's too far out there for the Celtic board to go for. So I'm going to go for Howe. I think that's a candidate a lot of fans could get behind. Has an incredible managerial record. He really does. It's absolutely sensational what that guy did with Bournemouth. And I actually think, even though it is talked about so much, totally underrated at the same time. Bringing them up from League 2 to the Premiership. I'd love to see what he could do at Celtic, a bigger club than Bournemouth considerably, and see if he could handle that pressure. I think he could, and I'd love to see it. So for me, I'm going to be ambitious and go for Eddie Howe.
And I'm going to be whatever the opposite of ambitious is. I'm going to say that Jack Ross will be the next Celtic manager.
Well, what's the justification for that?
Well, there's none, but let me introduce you to Peter Law and Dermot Desmond, who, our current manager was recently the Hibs manager prior to coming to the club. I just think that they'll look at Jack Ross and his record, and the fact he's already managed a decent-sized club like Sunderland.
Talk to me about Jack Ross's record then.
Listen, I'm not batting for Jack Ross here.
Exactly.
I'm just saying that I think he will tick. He'll be easily attainable. He knows the Scottish game. He knows the city, which we know is vital for the Celtic manager. I just think that the Celtic board will look at him. I think for certain he will be on the list of candidates they'll be going for. And I personally think that we'll struggle to get, a Rafa Benitez, a Lampard, a Howe. I think Howe's slightly more attainable than those two, but I even think he could, be a struggle. Why would he want to come to Celtic at the moment?
I just can't see. I think Jack Ross, and by the way, try not to be disrespectful to Jack Ross. He did a great job at Alloa. Did well with St Mirren. Hasn't done well with Sunderland or Hibs. I'm not impressed with his work at Hibs. I know they're fourth. I still don't rate them as a team. I cannot see a way Celtic justify appointing Jack Ross at a time when supporter anger is so high. I just can't see it. It would be a total slap in the face to so many fans. When you consider some of the names that are out there, I don't even know if you're being full on serious with it. To be honest, that's how bad an appointment I think that would be.
I'm being totally serious.
Well, I think you'll find a lot of supporters will totally disconnect from the football club if they try a move like that. So we'll see what happens. But for me, Jack Ross, I'm sorry, he's got a lot more to do before he merits this job.
No, I agree completely, and let me just reiterate the fact that I'm not saying we should go for Jack Ross. I'm simply saying that that's who, if you're asking me what obvious candidate would the Celtic board go for, knowing their track record, I think it's Jack Ross.
But I get that, but I just feel that, the Celtic board, maybe I should know better. I just don't think they would have the audacity to try and pull that off. Surely to God, they've disrespected us enough this season than to then appoint Jack Ross, who could end up being a fine manager in the future, but has so much more to do. No, they can't go down that route. It'd be a total disaster for the PR team at Celtic, I'll tell you that much.
Right, we're going to head off then because it's been a bit of a chore doing this video. I'm just checking how many subs we've had now. I know the YouTube app that I use kind of updates every 10 minutes or so, we've still got 21 to go. But I'm going to say that loads of folk subscribed. We'll cross the 10k barrier at some stage, whether that's tonight or tomorrow. We may have a celebratory video tomorrow from me. We'll definitely have some sort of video with me looking at some sort of issue. David, appreciate your time once again. We'll speak to you soon, probably next week after Kilmarnock. Thanks everyone for watching this video. Cheers everyone for tuning in and commenting, and we'll speak to you soon.